Good morning, everyone, and thank you very much for joining me. This is the morning market review. My name is Russell. I'm a senior market specialist at FXCM, and my email address r@fxcm.com. Today is Wednesday, the 24th of August, 2022. Just going to go ahead and bring up our high risk investment warning. I'll keep this on screen for a few moments. We'll go until the top of the hour, and then I'll switch over to the crypto minute. Okay, here's the market commentaries disclaimer. And just the references, MarketScope, CNBC, and TradingView. Just go through CNBC very quickly. The headline reads as follows: European markets set to fall as hawkish Fed remarks dent global stocks. European markets are set to retreat slightly on Wednesday as new hawkish comments from US Federal Reserve policymakers keep investors hesitant. Minneapolis Fed President Neil Kashkari on Tuesday reiterated the central bank's commitment to bringing inflation under control through monetary policy tightening, and said his biggest fear is that the persistence of price pressures is underestimated. The comments came as markets prepare for a much-anticipated speech from Fed Chairman Jerome Powell on Friday, addressing the central bank's tightening path following its annual economic symposium in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. Shares in Asia Pacific were mixed on Wednesday after the Dow Jones Industrial Average and S&P 500 posted a third consecutive day of losses in the previous session. China's Shenzhen component led losses regionally. US stock futures were lower in early pre-market trading on Wednesday as Wall Street looks for further losses ahead of Powell's speech on Friday. Back in Europe, investors will be perusing the European Central Bank's accounts of its latest monetary policy discussions due to be published on Wednesday, along with a French consumer confidence reading for August. All right. So Rob sent an email this morning just asking if we can go through natural gas because it is quite topical at the moment. And I did write an article on it, not one of my better articles, but we'll just work through what I saw and what happened and sort of what's driving the markets at the moment. So what we have on the left here is our daily chart of natural gas. Now, this instrument is the gas prices out of North America. It comes from prices that are derived at a place called Henry Hub, or comes from Henry Hub. And so the US fundamentals would be the predominant influence, but of course it will have sensitivities to the European gas market. And you can see that it is moving in zone 1, which is in the upper red, upper blue, which is our zone of strength, and this is on the daily. And if you take a look at the stochastic is near 80. It's just dropping out. We just want to watch that. The longer it stays in 80, the stronger the underlying momentum. I'll just see if I can find this is a good example here. So it stays at 80. All right, and we've gone through the formula for the stochastic. I still can't understand the textbooks that say 80 is overbought. That's just ridiculous. You want to work with momentum, not short into it. So here we've got a strong momentum, and any sort of pullbacks obviously become compelling because as long as we stay in zone 1 or the bullish area, as long as we stay in the upper quintile for the stochastic, well, the underlying strength would be up. Of course, having said that, it has slipped, right, from its upper quintile. It's dropped below that 80 level. So we want to just keep an eye on that. And I've just got somebody saying there's no sound yet, Thomas, saying there's no sound. I've got sound on my side coming through the settings. Can you guys hear me? Yeah, sounds okay. Okay. All right, cool. All right. Perfect. All right, let me just write a message for Thomas. Bear with me a moment. All right, so I'll just keep this up there. All right. So the idea here is we want to know if there is a potential dip in the uptrend, and it looked as if there was a potential dip in the uptrend yesterday. The article, let's throw in some pivots here. So I'm just going to bring in yesterday's pivots. All right, so we dropped to the central pivot yesterday. So here was the central pivot, and what I was looking for is the triggers. Trigger 1. So we want to see the EMA cross. Trigger 1. Okay. We want to see trigger 2, stochastic cross. Okay. Never happened. So the trade was never actually signaled. Still, it doesn't feel good to say there's a potential dip in the uptrend and then it collapses. But what subsequently happened what subsequently happened was that when the article was released, there was a news release that Nord Stream 1 actually is not going to be shut down at month end. So the supply of gas perhaps not going to be restricted. So the fact that it's not going to be restricted potentially drove prices down, but not quite. There's more to the story here. The second story that came out was a little later on in there. So this is when the NS1 story broke around about here. So we were actually bouncing. We were actually bouncing. But then Nord Stream came up, and just watching the price, and then what subsequently happened was a news item coming out of the US. Now remember, this is prices from Henry Hub, right? And what is the news item that came out of the US? Well, there is a terminal, a liquid natural gas terminal in Freeport, okay, and it's not pumping gas, okay, and it was set to restart its gas flow. I think it was mid to late October, but that's been pushed back. Okay, that's been pushed back. So what does that mean? It means that there's more natural gas on the state side. That gas was going to be made available for export to Europe, because Europe's got this shortage. But now the Freeport terminal, the timeline for restart's been pushed back. So the natural gas now is concentrated on the US side of the Atlantic, meaning that the supply in the US is higher than anticipated at, say, 4 o'clock my time yesterday. And then, of course, it's pushed the price of natural gas down. So that's kind of what's happened. So it's one to keep an eye on. If there's more development in the Freeport news, if they manage to bring it forward again, then potentially prices jump here. Any news coming out of Nord Stream 1 that could have an effect here. If we don't see the stochastic move back above 80, well, then we've got a waning momentum, and if we drop from level 1 into level 2, well, then we're out of the bullish zone. So that's what we want to just keep an eye on. We may get across here. We have got across here. Do we get the end and separation? Okay. Now, just one other comment out natural gas. Okay. But it does have a reputation. Natural gas is actually called the widow maker, which is not a really inspiring name for a trader. The reason that it's called the widow maker is actually because of a particular approach to trading natural gas. So traders try and take advantage of the spreads between seasons. Okay, and if they're on the wrong side, they potentially get wiped out. So there is a reputation behind natural gas. So just be very much aware of that. The other point that's worth mentioning is I want to go back to the euro. I did close the trade. I told you I was in this trade for quite a while. Closed it, but then I stopped yesterday. So the PMIs came in a little bit weaker, which kind of drove US dollar down. As the US dollar shot down, you can see euro shot right up, right to the R1 level. Okay, right to the R1 level. And I thought, well, let's put on a small short here. And then I took it out at the central pivot. And the reason is, okay, any sort of rally in the euro or any sort of dip in the US dollar is going to be compelling, because we examined the fundamentals yesterday, specifically with regards to the supply and demand based on the Fed's balance sheet. So any sort of opportunity here is something that I'll be very keen on watching, not necessarily automatically jumping in again, because there is volatility that's going to be associated. And as we get closer to the Fed Chair's keynote on Friday, which I think is 4 p.m. I think it's 4. I'll double check. I think it's 4 p.m. my time, 3 p.m. UK time. That's going to drive. That's going to cause a lot of volatility. But what we want to just do is go back to our real rates. So let's just bring up the real rates. And just keep an eye on that. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to US 10-year minus the break even. Okay. And let's go down to the daily here. And we just want to see the correlations here. Let's bring up the US dollar. I'll just put it underneath. And you can see that the correlations here are pretty strong. Okay, so now we usually look at the correlation coefficient on the weekly. I'm actually going to look at it on the daily here, because we had that intraday spike yesterday, and let's just bring it up. All right, and we've got so here's kind of the spike, sort of the spike down, spike up. Hang on, no, that wouldn't be. Let's go through 1 hour. We'll see the spike here. Okay, here's the spike down. Okay, spike down in real rates, and then it recovers. But the correlations here are positive. Okay, so we had minus 0.59. And as long as the real rates have a inclination to move higher, one would expect the dollar to be supported there. And we can go up to the highest time frames and see that the correlation there is still quite strong. Here's 0.8. Let's go through to the monthly. Here we're getting too close to 0.9. So any sort of dip in the dollar, and as long as we've got guys like Neil Kashkari talking up interest rates, any sort of rally in a downtrend, such as with the euro, any sort of dip in an uptrend, such as the dollar, become compelling. But then you apply your rules. Must apply your rules. Okay, can't just willy-nilly trade. Always have risk management, because although for natural gas we never got the signal, but assuming we did get the signal and then it just collapsed, we would need the stop loss in. Risk management stop losses, of course. There is no compromise or negotiation around that. Must be a part of the trading plan, especially given how complex the market is right now. All right, I think what we'll do is wrap up here. I'm going to go through to our crypto minute. I'll catch you guys on the other side. Thanks very much.